Well, hello, everyone. I'm Terri Lee Chandler, host of Terri Talks Movies, and also, as many of you know, the founder of the ICU Awards. And today I have a very special guest. I'm so happy to welcome Marcellus Cox, independent filmmaker based in Los Angeles, California. Hello, Marcellus, and thank you for being here today.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me. It's an
Oh,
honor and a privilege to be a part of your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm really happy to have you. Now, I want to just let everyone know that you are an alumnus of the ICU Awards and a very good friend of ours. And now, for those of you who do not know Marcellus, I want to let you know something about him. His various projects, and he has a lot of them, have been accepted into a total, as of today, 200 international film festivals, and he's won a total of 132 international awards. Marcellus, congratulations.
Thank you so much. None of this is done by myself. It takes an amazing group of people from my actors to my crew to people who've invested in me financially. I'm nothing without them. None of this is possible. I just realized when you said all of that, it just made me realize that my God, Film Freeway and Without a Box owe me so much. Like it's been a lot of money that I had to spend, but you know what? I'm grateful just the fact that people have wanted to see the work and they're receptive to it, and the fact that you've also given me a platform over the few years to show my work is the greatest blessing in the world. So I thank all of you who've made this possible for me.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I love doing it. And since you brought up Film Freeway and Without a Box, which we know is no longer around, but I do want to just point out a lot of people don't realize that it's important to invest in yourself. And if you invest in yourself, to me, that's the first step in getting other people to invest in you. What do you think about that?
I think that that's the ultimate truth, because if you don't believe in yourself and your work, who will? And you have to be able to showcase. And I've always felt personally, just from my own perspective, is if nobody else is going to put me in the spotlight, I got to put myself in it. I got to get my own hustle going. So I'm always willing to I guess you would say gamble, but I don't know ultimately it's a good gamble because I know myself and I know my work, and I know that if given the opportunity, that people will be receptive to it, and people have been. So I'm always about investing in myself first. And this, I feel like other filmmakers who are coming up, you should be able to do the same. Don't wait for anybody, because sometimes it's not going to happen. If you believe in you more than anything, invest in yourself. Take whatever little money you can, and not just put in this in your work, but put it outside of that as well, in terms of being able to submit and promoting yourself. So I'm all for it.
And a lot of people don't realize that the importance of winning festivals, because that helps bring you recognition. And the more recognition you get, then I would think that would help you down the road. Because when you go to an investor or even to maybe someone that you might want to be in your film or work as a crew member, if they go, well, I don't know anything about you, you can say, well, hey, look at my track record. You know.
This happened, but I've been in the point where so many people now are aware of who I am, and that includes even some big name actors that I didn't know think that they knew who I was, and have reached out to me, wanting to know more about my work. So I think this winning those awards are great, but it's just the exposure alone, being able to get lucky enough to have your work play on television, or just having other like festival promoters, programmers promote you crazily. Like it's just the greatest feeling. Even if you don't win, just having those people who see the work and they know that, hey, this guy is good or this woman is good. We need to put them in the right spotlight. So I think just being on a circuit alone is great, but just getting the exposure is even greater, even if you don't win anything. So it's a matter of just getting your work out there as much as humanly possible.
Well, speaking of getting your work out there, I noticed because you posted on Facebook that your films have been seen on Revolt TV and some other ones. Tell us a little bit about that. Revolt TV.
Yeah, being able to be on Revolt and be on PBS, Shorts TV, Crime and Investigation. Also have recently, what was the other TV channel? Pink. If we have Direct TV, we just got accepted on there. So And of course, being on other shows like African American short films who play national syndication across the globe on channels like Fox and CBS and stuff. So it's been a great blessing that those people have been willing to even give me the opportunity to showcase my films and reach a much more massive audience. And it's the ultimate blessing because so many filmmakers don't get the opportunity to do so. So the fact that I'm one of the lucky few who have been chosen is just it's just unbelievable. This is such a blessing, and I'm forever grateful for it because it allows me to just have opportunity not to only make a little bit of money, which is nice because I definitely got bills to pay. As other filmmakers know, but just to be able to just reach a new massive audience of people who have never even heard of you or never seen your work, and now they're fans of yours. So it's just the greatest feeling in the world.
Well, I have to say that I think it's only a matter of time before the world knows about you. And I mean, there are people all over the world that know about you because of the platforms that you've been on and the different streaming services that are showing your movies. But your work, and I'm not just saying this to pat you on the back or make you feel good, you do excellent work. And I am just always so impressed when I watch one of your movies. Not only is the script writing fantastic, but the quality of the work is phenomenal.
I thank you so much. I try to, in many ways, I take pride in making sure that when I present something, that it's not only just meaningful in terms of the story, but also one of the quality. Because you see a lot of films, and there's no disrespect to other filmmakers, but some just don't match up. Like you may have a story that has great writing and great acting, but the technical aspect, like sound, is off, or camera work is kind of bad. But I try to make sure that everything is top notch as humanly possible, and I think it's because mostly I have a great team around. So when I'm able to reach out to my sound guy, reach out to my DP, Jamil Gooden, who I love. I love working with Jamil. So, and then just the actors, being able to work with people like a Stephen Colfield Jr. or David Chatham or Rashad Hunter and so many other great actors. So, they bring out the best in my work, and I'm grateful to them. So everything that you see in terms of quality, in terms of the acting, it's just based on my cast and my crew and these people who genuinely like to work with me, who bring out the best. So I make that a top priority.
Awesome. That's awesome. And this isn't about me, it's about you, but I just want to, because you mentioned your crew and how important sound is, I want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine, Andre Key, who helped me with my very first movie. And one of the things he told me was that you have to have good sound because you can have a great picture, but if people can't hear what's going on, what's the point?
I agree 100%. I think maybe sound is more important than anything. So you have a lot of people who will literally spend $1,000 on a budget just on the camera, which is great. But sometimes it's not just the camera; it's really more in post with sound. Sound and editing to me are the two most important components to a project, especially when you're trying to make a short film that you're trying to make money off of in order to get to the feature, which is what I've been doing. I feel like to me, those are the two most important things: sound and editing. And if you don't have those in tune, if you don't have those on top shape, your film is just completely this is going to be a waste. So I would tell filmmakers off top, I know working with a red or working with an area is great sometimes, but don't be afraid to use a 5D. As long as you make sure that your post is on great shape. That's the number one thing I would tell you. Make sure your sound is good. Make sure your editing is tight. And most importantly, just make sure that your actors are good. That's the number one thing too. So I would throw that in there. So those are the most important things to me. Great cameras are amazing, but sometimes they're not needed. A great story at the end of the day and great work overall is what's needed the most.
Mhm. And I want all these up and coming filmmakers who haven't quite achieved what you've achieved yet to make sure that they listened to what you just said because you're without knowing I didn't know this, you're giving a master class in how to prepare, and actually have a great project that people are going to want to watch. And no, Marcellus, I know that it hasn't been always, well, I don't even want to say it's always easy because filmmaking, as we know, is not easy. You got to love it in order to do it. So tell me, why in the first place did you decide to become a filmmaker?
It's always been the only thing I've ever really truly loved. I've always been in love with movies. My first real love for movies came from the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit because I love cartoons and I've always been a huge fan of animation. So that was like my real first love of cinema. it just grew from there. I just love the aspect of storytelling. I love the aspect of being able to create a vision that you see that nobody else could be able to create other than you. So that's always has been the biggest thing for me when it came to wanting to be a filmmaker. And this platform is unlike anything, there is in the world, being able to truly express what you want with moving images. So that was the biggest thing for me. I've been hooked. I don't see myself doing anything else. I don't want to do anything else. Like I think when you're stuck in it, you're there for life. So my love has grown and it continues to grow, and I fall more in love with it every single day because I'm always learning something new, not even just from the technical, but just from a business standpoint. So it's life for me, and I know it is for a lot of other filmmakers who are coming up. It's just the greatest profession there is, in my opinion. It's hard. It is hard, and it could be a lot of dark times, especially when you're coming up and you see some people who don't agree with your work, especially when you're being rejected every now and then. But I'm telling you, there's nothing better than being a filmmaker. There's no creative outlet that allows you to be able to say what's on your mind more than being a filmmaker.
Mhm. And telling those stories that so many people can relate to. And your stories are just so well written, as I mentioned before. How do you do it? What's your secret?
I'm just honest. One of the things that I've learned early on is you can't be true to yourself, even in a writing form, to write through a period. Even if somebody might be like, "Oh, I don't like the way you said this." Yeah, well, it's not your story; it's my story. So I want to be as honest as humanly possible with my writing. I don't ever want to hold anything back, even if it's something that may offend somebody. I feel like the ultimate goal to really get your point across is truth. So if I can't be me with whatever I'm trying to say, then what's the point of me doing it? And I feel like with writing, it's the ultimate expression of what you're trying to say. Like the camera movement is great, but that one line, that one dialogue can change somebody's whole perspective of a situation that might be relatable, like you just said, not just for me, but somebody else out there who watches. So I have to be able to get that point across. I have to be able to address it. And if I can't tell the truth, then I don't want to do it. So I feel like me writing it's my sanctuary. It's my real first love of when it comes to creating a story. What do I want these characters to say? What do I want these characters to be? And to me, if you can't develop a good character, if you can't develop a great piece of dialogue, then you're in trouble already just from the start. So I think for me, writing is everything.
Well, and talking about dialogue, I see so many filmmakers or screenwriters say, I have writer's block. What's the cure? And I'm thinking, if you really know your characters, there's the cure right there for writer's block. What do you think?
I think with writer's block, it depends on what you're trying to write. Like for instance, if you know that, uh, I give an example. I wouldn't want to write a sci-fi if I know the sci-fi is not in my heart. So I think a lot of times the writer's block comes from stories that I think most writers are not aware of and that they want to write about it. And that's the reason why they can't create off that because you're just not a component for you. For me, I feel like if I when I'm in tune with a story that I know I want to tell, then there's no writer block for me. I'm so focused in the zone because I already know what I want to say and what I want to do with these characters. I already know off the top of my head, I know this story before I can even envision even writing words, even on the paper. So I do believe the writer's block is real. And I think sometimes, even for me, I feel like when I can't come up with a certain piece of line, I like to go back and watch certain movies that I love,
Mm.
and it helps me fine tune myself even more with wanting to go back and write. So I love watching movies when I feel like I have a certain writer block. Like, okay, this story is just so me right here, and it just gets me more amped to want to go back and sit down and be like, okay, I need to put this on paper and just go ahead. So I do believe it is real, but I also do believe that a lot of times writers bring it on themselves because the stories that they want to tell, if they have no familiarity with. So
Mhm.
that's just what I think when it comes to writing.
Well, for those people that experience that, you just gave them some tips on how to unblock the writer's block.
Yeah, I tend to do that every now and then, I guess. But for me, I am being honest when it comes to writer's block. Sometimes the best thing for a writer to do is just go back and watch movies. Go back and watch something that as a writer, I guess, inspires you the most. And I think that is what helps the most to get you back with those creative juices going.
Now, how did you initially get into filmmaking? Did you go to film school or did you just pick up a camera and start filming?
I went to film school. I did 2 years at El Camino College, Torrance, and then I was going to transfer over to Chapman, but my parents couldn't afford the tuition. So after that, I just ended up taking the AA, and then I just ended up working on sets after that. So just working with other filmmakers that I know, being able to work as PA, and usually working whatever that was needed to do on set. I asked the directors questions as I was coming up. And I always had a notebook on me, so I'm always taking notes, wondering what they were thinking. They come to certain scenes. How do you work with this actor? How do you work with this actress? How do you get shot the way that you want? So I spent a few years just doing that and just mostly just writing. So I've always just kind of like kept my mind set on just creating no matter what. And then after a few years, sorry, earpiece is falling out. After a few years of that, I just took my own money and I just started, saying, hey, I really need to do this. I really need to get out here. So even if I felt like I wasn't ready, the work proved that I was ready. So even when I had no money, I found a way to go get the money. So it was just a matter of, okay, it's time to reset it up. Okay, whoever I felt like wants to work with me, and I found a lot of suitors. So, and I just went out and shot. We didn't have the best equipment, didn't have anything that I have access to now, but still, I just wanted to show that I was able to put something together that was worth watching, and it's been like that ever since. So I've gone from 25 to now 33, so basically 8 years of like really like just cramming out story after story after story and just fine tuning my craft. And I feel like now I'm at a point where it's like I wouldn't say I've mastered it, but I definitely have a top knowledge of what I'm doing. I know my voice. I know what I want to do going forward, and it's time for the feature film. So that's what I'm working towards now. So that's pretty much where it's been for me ever since.
Now, I know you said that you want to make that feature. Are you getting close or do you still have quite a ways to go yet?
Well, it's still a little ways to go. It's just mainly like every other filmmaker, you're just trying to find funding. Like for me, like I'm working on the feature version of my concept short, Mickey Hardaway, and everything is done. The script has won multiple awards by itself, and the film is doing great on the circuit. It's just a matter of just trying to find funding, like every other filmmaker. You're trying to figure out, should you raise the crowdfunding? Should you try to go through grants? Do you try to go to find investors who, right now, even more during the pandemic, are sketchier than ever and want to give people money to go create? So that's kind of where the standstill is. But the goal right now is in June 1st, I'm going to drop a crowdfunding campaign via WeFunders, and I'm going to just try and raise the money myself to tell the story. So that's pretty much what it is. But yeah, it's like every other filmmaker right now is like, you're there, you're ready, but you just want somebody to give you an opportunity. So
Right.
that's where I'm at right now.
Now, I don't want you to give me a name because of obvious reasons, but do you have an A-list actor in mind that you could see playing that Mickey Hardaway role?
Uh, I don't have one in mind at the moment. I mean, honestly, if it was me, I would love to keep my cast that I have right now. But of course, when it comes to dealing with investors, they want names. So it's a matter of just kind of like, I guess, wrestling with my conscience. Do I want to keep the cast to help me get here where I'm at right now? Or do I want to go out and get the A or B listers that I possibly can to want to, come on board and bring this story to life? I mean, either way, I mean, I would be fine with it no matter what. But if worse come to shove, I mean, and I don't even think it's a worst come to shove. Just honest gut feeling. I feel like the cast I have now would do more than justice to bring his vision of life, just like they did in the concept. So I would love to keep them, but of course, business is business. So we just have
Right.
to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put my 2 cents out there and just say that you do have an excellent cast. I saw the movie. I loved it. I think it could stand on its own as far as what you were saying. If you could get the investors who would invest based on the cast that you have, I think it could succeed. The other thing is, as you know, I'm sure sometimes filmmakers go with talent that isn't that well known, and they go to like a Sundance or something, and it wins all kinds of awards, and then it helps everybody. So I guess, like you said, you have to go with your conscience and see whatever feels right.
Well, my conscience would tell me I would love to keep my cast. Like you said, to the
Yeah.
fact that you said that and so many other people have said it, like I think that they're absolutely amazing. And those guys, without them, there's no way in hell, excuse my language, this film would be doing what it's doing. They're the heart and soul. All I did was just yell action. So I probably may do a little bit more after that in terms of cutting, but without those guys, without Stephen and Rashad and David and Charles and Angelo, like there's no way that I would be in the position I'm in right now. And just actors in general that I've worked with in the past who have helped brought every single one of my visions to life. But just with this film alone, those guys are the heart, and I would love to keep them there. And hopefully, the word would just speak for itself to enough that somebody would just say, hey, you know what? You've done enough. Let's make this. So I'm
Mm.
hoping and praying, or maybe I win one of these mega millions, playing a lottery. So you
I
get a
know
little
what you
lucky.
mean. Yes. Well, I'm praying for you because and I'm not just saying this, but people who have not seen your work really need to see it because it's out there and available for people to see. And I've always been in love with your work. I told you from day one when I met you and saw your work that I was really impressed with it. I think you have just a knack for getting the right talent, and everything just is always so professional, and I think you could hold your own against any of the big name Hollywood directors that are out there now, because if you just had that chance, like you said, you could be up there with anybody else because you did your homework and you're not afraid to get out there and do what it takes to succeed. And I know it's just a matter of time before, as I said earlier, the world knows the name Marcellus Cox.
Uh, I thank you. I thank you so much for that. That means so much. If I wasn't so dark, you would see the blushing. So, oh
I
my
see the
goodness. You know
smile.
what? But I've always just said to myself, I know that if given an opportunity, I know that I can create and I can showcase my work as an artist. And the number one thing with me has always been the work. That would always be my number one focus. So just the simple fact that you and so many other people have noticed that and seen that and respected that about me as an artist, that's the greatest feeling in the world. And that's more than enough for me. Hopefully, when it's all said and done, people will know my name a little bit more. But hopefully, it won't keep it the same because I will never act any different. I'm always going to be me, and I just want to create. So that's the ultimate goal.
Right. And that's what's important. If it's not in your heart, if you're doing it for the money or the fame, I tell people all the time, you might as well find something else to do because you really have to love this business in order to be in it because it's not easy.
Yeah, and I think that's some of the things that you have to tell some filmmakers at time, especially amongst the culture. It's like everybody's not going to be Spike Lee. Everybody's not going to be John Singleton, Ava DuVernay. The only thing you can do to get close to even achieving what they've done is just to be you. Nobody can be a better version of you than you. So just go out, create the stories that you want to create something that's meaningful to you, and just have fun with this profession. That's what it is at the end of the day. That's the number one thing is that you're creating, you're bringing art to life, you're bringing the vision that no one else can bring to life other than you. And that's the greatest feeling in the world. So if you get caught up with the fame and the fortune, you're going to fail. I tell people all the time, I don't care about the awards. They're great that they've come. All the nominations, they're great that they've come. But the greatest thing for me is when I'm behind that camera and I'm yelling action, I'm yelling cut, and I mean, like everybody else, I love post production. I love being able to sit and look at the edits, look at the cuts, and everything. So when you just have fun and you love this,
Mhm.
that's the reward enough. That's the greatest feeling enough.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's, I mean, I think you've said it all. There's not much more else to say as far as, being in this business that, of filmmaking, because, I think you said it all. But I do want to ask you, we know that you have a feature that you're working on, and you've got your concept that's in the ICU Awards. Thank you so much for submitting. We always
Thank you.
appreciate you. We love you here at the ICU Awards. Um, is if you had your choice of anybody out there in Hollywood right now, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, that you could work with, who would that be? And give them a reason to work with you because they might be listening.
Mm. Well, I wouldn't say in front of the camera, but behind the scenes, not even really just to work with, but just to learn from. I feel like there's two filmmakers for me. That would be Steve McQueen, and the other would be Barry Jenkins, because I feel like we have similar styles of storytelling, more art house, more indie style, and this is more stories that truly focus on the cinematic perspective, as opposed to just giving you something that's really more. I mean, not saying like fun or anything, but I guess I love stories that are just more cinematically neutral in tone with what's happening with today, but just personal as well. So I guess those will be two filmmakers that I would love to learn from. Actors, uh, that's hard. It's hard because there's a lot of talent. If I had to pick one who I really do like, just because of his style of acting, I like Michael Fassbender. I think he's interesting to me. He's someone who I would really like to work with, and I love Andre Holland. He's a good actor as well. Somebody that has my eye. So I would love to work with Andre Holland. He's someone that's interesting to me. So in terms of talent, so yeah, those would be people I would like to interact.
Well, you picked some really good names and some very accomplished people. So put it out there, and you never know. You probably get your chance one day. They might even be calling you.
It would definitely. Well, it's not hard to find me. It's not hard to get my number. So believe me, if they're open to it, I love to talk. I love to talk to anybody. So anybody who would love to reach out to me, or I'm always available to talk. So it doesn't matter if it's phone call, email, whatever. I just if you want to talk movies or just talk just in general, just always reach out to me. So I'm always available.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing that makes you one in a million. So, is there anything else before we go that you would like to add that we haven't covered yet?
For the most part, I think we've really addressed everything. I would just say those who do want to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram, Marcellus World 24. You can also find me on Facebook at Marcellus Cox 24. Um, just in general, if you'd like to know more about my work or about the current film I'm working on, Mickey Hardaway, just in general, you can find all the information on there. And yeah, I'm interested in just seeing where things go here in the future, and just the fact that people like yourself and others who do believe in me, it definitely motivates me and makes me want to keep going further. So I'm excited to see where the next phase of my career is, and I just thank you for giving me an opportunity to come on here and speak more about it.
You're
And
so welcome.
I'm ever grateful to
And I didn't know how to find you on Instagram. I'm looking you up right now. I'm going to find you and friend you on Instagram.
you. You know what? I think because I don't promote my social media that much like that. I really don't. I don't promote it as much as I should. So I definitely have to work on that. But it's not hard to find me. So anybody who wants to talk, you can reach out to me anytime.
Yeah, well, I know now. So I already have you on Facebook. We're friends there, but I will definitely find you on Instagram
Mm.
and friend you. because I definitely want to keep up with your career, because I'm always looking to see what filmmakers are up to, and I support and love independent film. So as much as I can do to support independent film, that's what I want to do. So now, well, Marcellus, thank you so much again for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm grateful to you, and I thank you so much for having me on. You know, I'm so happy that you are rooting for independent filmmakers like myself and just giving us this platform to talk about ourselves, especially for Black filmmakers who already, geez, my earpiece is coming
That's
out,
okay.
who who already have like to compete up against the odds. So this simple fact that you're so willing and you're so open and warm and generous to us, it's great to see that. And I wish that more festivals, programmers, and founders would do this for us. So I'm really in awe of what you and the ICU Awards are doing. So I just thank you in general.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And on that note, I'm just going to do a shout out. Make sure you all follow Marcellus Cox, follow him on Facebook, follow him on Instagram, and also look for his work, because you will not be disappointed by anything you see. And also, yes, we do love at the SCU Awards independent film. So make sure if you're not following us, you follow us. And also my podcast, Terri Talks Movies. Thank you so much for all of your support, for listening. And if you haven't listened to any of the other shows yet, make sure you do so so you can get caught up. Thank you again, everyone. And thanks again to Marcellus. Okay.